So Chris Wilder has left Sheffield United. Let's talk about it. Guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. Bit of a quick one coming at you today. Later on we will have our championship score predictions video coming out. We'll have that one up in a few hours time, but I thought that this one was worth a little bit of a video really. Obviously on the channel, us being focused on championship content, the journey that Chris Wilder had at Sheffield United was very much a part of this channel for a couple of years as they got promoted up to the Premier League and pretty much achieved the impossible since. The news broke this morning and has pretty much got the whole footballing world talking. If you are a football fan or a fan of Sheffield United, get yourselves in the comments down below. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on this one, but I think it's worth quickly unpacking just what Chris Wilder actually achieved at Sheffield United, because prior to his arrival, Sheffield United were a side who were consistently underperforming really. It's funny, you know, myself being a Preston fan, how us and Sheffield United actually mirrored each other for quite some time really. In the 08-09 season we each made the championship playoffs that year. Sheffield United obviously beat us in the semi-finals, only for them to go on and lose the final against Burnley. We then had a sort of gradual drop off together, and in the 10/11 season we were each relegated to League One at the time, and I remember it quite well because there was the general feeling that Sheffield United going down into League One, oh, okay, you know, Sheffield United are sort of a big club, structurally they'll just be too big to not bounce back at the first few times of asking. But that wasn't the case. It shows that bad management at a club ultimately gets you absolutely nowhere. Before Wilder's appointment at Sheffield United, they were sat 11th in League One, and you know, my side Preston somehow managed to sort out our business and get promoted before they managed to. But the team he inherited, to look at where they are now, it's a tough decision to take, I feel like. Obviously there have been a few rumblings of discontent going on behind the scenes and that sort of thing, but we'll get into that in just a second. At the first time of asking, Chris Wilder gets this Sheffield United side promoted, the team which he inherited, which had previously finished 11th, won the league in style as well, picking up 100 points along the way. And probably what's been most impressive about Chris Wilder's journey is there was never really any time where his progress at Sheffield United sort of levelled out. It was constantly on an upwards trajectory. In his first season in the Championship, they were very much mixing it in around the top six. Ultimately they just finished short that season. They finished 10th in the league, which, considering that was their first season back in the Championship, was still a fantastic achievement, and they very much gave themselves the platform to then work off for next season when they went ahead and, you know, achieved the impossible with that squad, got themselves promoted to the Premier League in what was perhaps one of the most exciting Championship races to promotion that we've had over the last decade or so. You know, the standard of football at the top of the Championship that season was like an all-time high. I think what we've generally seen this season is, apart from a few teams here and there, the standard has generally fallen off a little bit. That season in the Championship we had Norwich, Sheffield United, Leeds, West Brom, Aston Villa and Derby County all playing some scintillating stuff, and I think the general feeling around most people when they were promoted to the Premier League was, okay, the fairy tale probably ends here, they'll get relegated. But ultimately Chris Wilder then manages to defy the odds once again, finishing 9th with this squad in the Premier League, which I don't even think maybe enough people give enough recognition to with what he actually did with that squad there. And so ultimately this season in the Premier League has been the only season where his progress has stopped on that upwards trajectory and it has gone backwards. One season is all it's taken for this decision to happen. Now I do know that there have been a few rumblings of discontent going back and forth between Chris Wilder and the board. There was the suggestion of maybe a director of football coming in at Sheffield United, which I think there was perhaps a bit of a disagreement on. That's certainly been one rumour that I saw that's been picked up on. Other things which have been questioned with Sheffield United, we actually mentioned it on last time's video really, things surrounding recruitment and that sort of thing. Because obviously Chris Wilder is, you know, by no means flawless, but come on, from what the guy's achieved, surely he of all managers deserves a bit of leeway. But it's telling now that they've obviously split off and gone their different ways. Myself as just a general Championship fan, I'm quite sad about this really, because I was really looking forward to seeing how he was going to try and reinvent this Sheffield United side coming back down to the Championship and look to bounce back into the Premier League, because we've seen that work out with managers. Obviously it can very much go one of two ways, sticking with your manager. With Norwich this season it's worked out fantastically under Daniel Farke. Previous examples you'll think to Burnley when they stuck by Sean Dyche when they got relegated. They've looked to really solidify themselves in the Premier League ever since. And if we do take a look at the managers who are currently being linked with the Sheffield United job to replace Chris Wilder, not all too many of them fill me with all too much confidence of me thinking, okay, they'll be in a better position with this manager to bounce back up to the Premier League than they would have have under Chris Wilder. Paul Heckingbottom is currently the favourite for the job. Obviously Leeds fans will remember him not all too fondly. I didn't actually realise that Paul Heckingbottom was in the Sheffield United setup, but he's been working with the under 23s, hasn't he? After that we get to Neil Lennon. I think he's quite the, I'd say, opinion splitter when it comes to football management. Eddie Howe's an interesting one. And then we get to sort of all the other names who are typically always linked to championship jobs at the moment. So Frank Lampard, Danny Cowley, Slaven Bilic, David Wagner, Gary Monk, Steve Bruce and John Terry. Who do you think would be best equipped to this job? Because like we sort of mentioned on last time's video, with that group of players, if they do manage to keep that core together, I'm in no doubt that they should be competing at the top end of the championship next year. But with them no longer having Chris Wilder, it makes them a little bit more unpredictable for me. That will go on to wrap it up for this video though. Like I said, I just wanted this one to be a little bit of a quick summary of my thoughts. I'm really sad that this has happened. You know, not even as a Sheffield United fan, I think that a lot of neutrals have just bought into that story there. Because realistically, how can you not love like a boyhood fan from that club achieving the impossible with them? And you know, it's fairy tale stuff there, and it's sad that this sort of stuff does need to come to an end. But do get your guys' thoughts on this in the comments down below. Very interesting to see some opinions going on in there. But yeah, like I said, that will now wrap up for today's video, guys. Make sure to stick around and subscribe for some regular content. We'll have our championship predictions coming out later today. But apart from that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.